This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
And welcome to today's Talk Business and Politics Daily. I am joined by Jessica DeLoach Sabin, one of our Talk Business and Politics contributors, and one of our newest Talk Business and Politics contributors, Robert Coon with Impact Management Group. Welcome.
Thank you.
And welcome aboard.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
I know. You got a column that's out on the website right now. It's about Goldilocks and judicial temperament, but it's really not a fairy tale.
Sometimes you got to find the just right area, and I don't think we've seen a lot of that lately. So hopefully it'll be a good read for everybody.
Well, we are here to talk about healthcare and healthcare politics. Let's begin with the GOP plan that was passed in the House last week to repeal and replace Obamacare. Is it good public policy, Robert?
You know, the more I've dug into it, I say that there's certainly some components of it that are. As you look at what the bill actually does, I think it's pretty significantly different from what you hear it does on social media and on the news. I don't know that I'd go so far as to say that the pep rally on the White House lawn was necessarily a good idea, because we're only kind of halfway home in regards to reforming health care. But, you know, they do keep a lot of the components of health reform, a lot of the positive things intact. There are certainly some substantive changes that I'm sure we can talk about, but I think, you know, it's a starting point. I think everybody expects the Senate to change it pretty dramatically.
Yeah, I think that's something that we'll talk about too. So, all right, I'll ask you the same question.
Yeah.
Is it good public policy?
No, it's not. It's not good public policy. And okay, I'm not going to say everything about it is terrible, but I am going to say that there are very, very big, terrible things within it.
Give me one example.
Okay. So aside from 24 million people potentially losing their health care.
We haven't seen a CBO score.
We haven't seen a CBO score, which, by the way, we should have. That should have happened, because I can guarantee you that if Democrats wouldn't have done that the first time around, it would have just been total chaos.
All right, you're giving me the one big, that's 24 million. People are going to lose health insurance.
Yeah, they are, and that's really scary because it was unnecessary. And I wouldn't say that the Republicans came anywhere near close to fixing the things that needed to be fixed about our healthcare system. And by the way, it's not even repealing and replacing anything. You still have several components of the ACA, but they've been diluted, so now it's all just very nonsensical.
Well, this is also part of, and Robert, I'll let you chime in here, but I mean, this whole one bill is more budget reconciliation. It's not the whole kit and caboodle.
Right, and that changes a lot of the political dynamics as far as passing it goes. I think one of the things that you said was, you know, it doesn't dismantle it. You know, at the end of the day, what they're doing will change the substance within the bill, in substance within the law. One thing that I think that is important to note is it doesn't take down the exchanges. It doesn't actually do away with, you know, Medicaid expansion. It will change it, because at the end of the day, the biggest problem with Obamacare was not expanding access. That's a good thing. It was affordability, and that's the challenge that we've seen with Obamacare across the country, is affordability and the lack thereof.
Let's talk about the politics, and Jessica, I'll let you go first on this. Why do you think the House pushed this through as quickly as they did? Was it just to score a legislative victory? Or do you think there was an ulterior motive?
Well, I think that that's definitely a safe assumption. I mean, if you're just looking at the politics of this, a lot of people who currently sit in the House made a promise to repeal and replace Obamacare, and that's how they got elected. They had to deliver in one way or another. I mean, I would even be willing to say at this point that the House just wanted to push something out. And I mean, obviously they did, because look at how close the vote was, just to kick it over to the Senate so the Senate could take it and do better. And they're going to have to do better, because right now the GOP doesn't have the votes to do what the House wanted to do. And I'm pretty sure that the number of Democrats they need to flip aren't interested in flipping for them.
She keeps jumping ahead to the Senate. I'm going to get to the Senate, but that's all right. That's all right. So tell me why you think, Robert, do you think they pushed as quickly as they did?
I think keeping promises is important. I think a lot of people did run on on repealing Obamacare, and that they want to keep their promise, but they also have promises out there on tax reform and other issues that they can't get to while this is still out there. So I think everybody knows this is a sausage-making opportunity. It's going to go through a long process, but until you get that off the dance card, you can't really get the next one on.
Let's talk about, I agree with you on the tax reform, the infrastructure spending. They couldn't do any of that until they kind of got health care off their plate. I think that was a big motivator for them to say, let's push it on through. Now we've got at least some sort of foundation that we can play with, even though it's going to change substantially, because the Senate is going to do something different, Jessica.
Yes, they are.
What happens in the Senate? What do you think happens in the Senate?
I think that they're going to take their time crafting what will hopefully be better legislation. I mean, I think that it's all uphill from here. So they're going to take their time. They're not going to be bullied into doing anything one way or another. I do think that they're listening to what voters are saying. You know, hey, I voted for you guys, but hold on a second. I think I'm going to lose my health care coverage. This isn't okay. This isn't what I elected you for. And so now the Senate is going to have to answer to that. And like you mentioned earlier about the House, like now they can move on to tax reform and whatever. Yes, they can move on to it. But when the time comes to revisit health care, I don't think that they're out of the thick of this yet. I think that a lot of people are going to have heartburn either way. So it's a losing battle for the Republicans.
What do you think happens in the Senate?
I think there's going to be a lot of push and pull. I think you've got, senators that are more sensitive to Medicaid expansion than maybe you have on the House side. Obviously, they're accountable to their entire states and not just to their districts, which I think plays a role in how they view it. So I think that becomes an issue that gets looked at really hard. And it's going to, like you said, it's not going to be a rush. I think they're going to be very deliberate and very thoughtful.
So the Senate comes up with something, let's say it takes close to a year, which is not unfathomable for the Senate to take that long and do that much with it. It's still got to come back and go through the House, though, doesn't it, Robert?
They would have to do conference committee and hammer it all out, but then you got to have one last vote. So therein lies the
217
conundrum.
to 213. Can
Yeah.
they get the vote? Can they get the House to do that? I think that's an interesting
Yeah, we'll see.
dynamic there. All right, I promised you all that we would I'd let you bring a topic to the table. And Jessica, I think yours has actually got to do with healthcare and something we haven't even talked about yet. So I'll let ladies go first.
Thank you. It's a nice segue. So Democrats across the country are looking at what's happening with healthcare now, and they're saying, wait a second, these voters are unhappy. This is an opportunity for us to put some of these congressional districts in play to say, let's get some more Democrats elected and send them to the House. And so right now the worry is for the Republicans is anywhere Donald Trump performed not so well, that could potentially be a place where Democrats could pick up some victories. Now, I wouldn't go so far as to say that that's going to be the case with the 4 congressional seats that we have here in Arkansas, but you still have Democrats who are willing to try because they know that they can reach out across the aisle and say, I know you voted for Trump. I know you've supported your current Republican elected officials, but you're not happy. Why not come over here and give us a try? And they're definitely going to do that.
Is the healthcare vote, is it detrimental to the GOP holding on to the House?
I don't think so. I think obviously Democrats have high intensity right now with the bill that was just passed, but I think that the large majority of those that are vocal about their views on the bill probably already have their minds made up, and you're really just kind of rattling the base sabers at that point. I think that it probably settles down a little bit. I don't think the average person is really paying a whole lot of attention, quite honestly.
All right. I'm going to let you throw your topic out.
Well, I thought we had just kind of neared the end of the first 100 days, and maybe kind of a little review. A little report card might be in order. I presume that means I have to go first.
Yes.
I'll start by saying I'm on question. I'm not a huge fan of the 100-day mark, but it is a well-established kind of measuring stick. And I would say, apart from the healthcare bill, which I obviously just passed, at least one chamber, I think the biggest thing that the Trump administration accomplished was all of the bills that they passed with the Congressional Review Act, kind of taking issue with the last-minute regulations and things like that. I think there were 13 different regulations that they ultimately reviewed and decided not to approve. I think those may not be the big sexy things that you hear about every day, but I think that they're pretty impactful downstream to businesses and people.
All right. I'm sure that Jessica's got the same grade she would give the Trump first 100 days.
No, not at all.
All right, you get a chance to chime in on this.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
great. He gets an F, a huge F minus, whatever the lowest possible grade is. He was very successful.
Incomplete would be the lowest grade possible.
Well,
and there's a
incomplete's
lot of
even
people
better.
that would say
Incomplete is what it is because he's been incredibly successful at maintaining a lot of broken promises and incredibly successful at blaming Barack Obama for everything. He's not president anymore. But we're still
he's
hearing about
inherited
it.
his problems,
No,
per se.
I think he's making his own problems now, so it's kind of sad. This is the saddest administration I've ever seen.
It's your topic, Robert.
It certainly
I'm
hasn't
sorry.
been without drama. I mean, there's definitely some missteps along the way. He's certainly not the first president to nominate people that ultimately had to be taken back, like Tom Daschle with,
True.
President Obama. I just think that a lot of the environment really plays into how much you can really do by the standard of the first 100 days. Obviously, FDR was in the midst of the Great Depression. President Obama was in the midst of financial crisis. When you have those moments, I think everybody works to make sure that nothing gets worse. You're not seeing a whole lot of cooperation with the 60-vote threshold in the Senate. So not to say there's not plenty of things that could have gone differently.
Well, I'll give you all a great little thing to wrap all this up with. Somebody told me that if you look at the 100-day mark, which we're just a little bit past, we're only about 3 minutes into an NBA basketball game in the first quarter right now. We got a long ways to go in this game. And I think my favorite point of one of the, Chris Ruddy, I think with Newsmax, is one of Trump's good buds there. They asked him, what do you think Donald Trump's learned in his first 100 days? He said that Congress exists. So I can't just executive order my way through the presidency. It's good stuff. Robert Coon, Jessica DeLoach, Sabin, always a pleasure to have y'all with us. Look forward to more from both of you, especially you, Robert. New kid on the block.
Appreciate it.
So, all right. We're back with more right after this.
Arkansas Electric Cooperative Corporation provides electric energy across 2/3 of Arkansas. This is an exciting time in our energy history, with incredible progress being made in renewable energy and storage technologies. As our energy portfolio continues to diversify, we'll maintain an all-the-above strategy to provide reliable and affordable electricity. Ever since the first light bulbs were placed in our members' homes, the electric cooperatives have been the solutions provider for our members, and we want to continue that well into the future.
Each day, the promise of our nation begins again. Arkansas and America, moving forward. I help make that promise a reality. It's not for everyone, but people everywhere depend on us. Trucking delivers, or everything stops. And that's what drives me.
Welcome back. If you're not checking into our website, talkbusiness.net, on a daily basis, then you need to. In addition to top stories and big interviews, we also have our collection of industry microsites. Today, we focus on healthcare. Our healthcare microsite is underwritten by the Arkansas Foundation for Medical Care and Arkansas Blue Cross Blue Shield. Right now, you'll find analysis of the federal healthcare bill working its way through Congress, as well as a roundup and details of the healthcare changes passed during the recent special session. Also, we frequently populate the site with news briefs and information from local hospitals and healthcare providers. If you've got news relevant to this space, or if you're looking for news relevant to this space, make sure you check it out. Scroll down to the bottom half of our homepage and you'll find the microsite feeds. That's all for today's Talk Business and Politics Daily. Until next time, take care.